How's everybody doing today? So I wanted to talk about the 6 planetary alignments that are happening in 2025. Remember at the beginning of the year I made a video basically about how this year is specifically very powerful for manifestation, and part of the reason is because of the planetary alignments. There's a portals that are opening up for source God energy and that type of thing. But when this happens, it's not all positive. And give me a minute to explain this. It's very positive if you use it right, but it can be very negative if you don't know the tricks that are going to happen, and some bad influence that could affect you by it. When it says 6 planetary alignment, it doesn't mean that the planets are like perfectly in line. It just kind of means that they're all on the same side of the sun as us, so that's how we view them, as they're kind of like in a line. But it is a cosmic significance in esoteric spirituality. But what's happening is it's causing chaos, and it's causing all this stuff to stir up. We're switching from 3D to 5D reality. And when this happens, people that were asleep before, or they're awakening right now from a spiritual awakening, they're going to start realizing that there's the spiritual plane, the subconscious, superconscious, and conscious mind. The spiritual plane being the subconscious realm or area of reality. Superconscious, the radio transmission to talk to your soul, floating in space or whatever reality it's in that you're connected to in your conscious mind, is the physical reality, the 3D realm that we're in. Now those are all connecting at a higher frequency and a faster pace than ever before. So it's causing chaos, and people that don't want to wake up, or they're like negative, or kind of like energy suckers basically, they're going to try to latch on to people that are more grounded. And when this happens, is they're going to try to steal your energy, and then you'll feel drained. What it is like, it's like the Titanic is going down. If you're spiritual, you found the boat to survive on, and those other people are going to try to latch onto you to try to pull you down out of that boat, or try to get up in the boat with you and try to drag you down, because they're drowning in the cold water. They don't know it physically or mentally. They have no idea that it's happening. So when you're around certain people, you got to be wary about who you're talking to and that type of stuff, and what's going on in the conversation, because it could go negative very south. And it's because they energetically they're drawing you in, because they don't know what's happening with the energies around them in this big shift that we're having this year. It's very hard to explain, but if you stay positive and allow the 5D shift occur, and know that this chaos and stuff that's happening around you is because all this energy's got to change in order for it to move forward. Like I talked about in my previous video, like 2 videos ago. In order for the shift to happen, you have to allow the change and let go of the past, because then you can't shift into that parallel reality, basically, if you're still stuck in the old paradigm. And the old paradigm is work a job to make money. If you cause and effect, duality, all that stuff is old paradigm thought process, instead of more of a spiritual in alignment with grounding with the earth, feeling the positive energy, raising your vibration, and that type of stuff, where you're a co-creator of the universe. That will pull you more into the 5D reality, and you'll feel drained energetically. You don't know why you feel energetically drained. It's because that charge is there's stuff that's trying to extract that energy from you. There's things or beings or energy. I don't know the exact term that I should use for you to understand, but it's part of the test too. Like, you're gonna feel that, but you're like, how are you gonna react to it? Are you gonna feel down? Are you gonna feel depressed? Like, you'll go into a depression and be like, oh man, these things are happening to me, and I just can't tolerate it. I can't deal with it. Even I've been feeling that way lately. It's like every little thing that's hit me has compounded into basically a battering ram that's like almost impossible to deal with. But once I center myself again and say, wait a second, I'm creating this now. How am I going to flow around it? Water is a great element that flows around obstacles. How do I become water and flow around this obstacle so it's not, blunt force trauma hitting me down on the ground? When you're trying to manifest, that stuff will happen to you. Also, what's also is occurring in 2025 is when you're making this shift, your mistakes that you're going to make are going to seem surmountably higher. Like, you make one little mistake and it's going to be exponentially larger than normal. So let's say I'm just using this as an example. Let's say you paid a bill, like your phone bill is $100. You accidentally gave the phone company $2,000, and you didn't mean to. You wrote the number. Let's say you're paying the bill online. You wrote in 2 and then 0000 an accident. Like, you tried to press the 1 and like 00 for like 100, but you accidentally pressed 2 and 30. So you just gave them $2,000. And let's say you needed that money to pay your rent the following day, and it's like, oh, you won't get that money back for 16 business days if you call customer service. It's stuff like that. So one small mistake can be massively larger. So you gotta kind of like, it's not like a Mercury retrograde situation. It's acting like one, but what it's doing is the shifting is happening so much, it's causing chaos, and those mistakes seem more massive to even draw you down in already more than you already are. So your manifestation and your positivity are going so fast this year, that energy has to have an opposite of the same power and polarity to draw you down. So the mistakes are much larger, but when you manifest, your manifestations are much larger because they're like almost like exact opposites. So it has to pull hard to try to bring you back to where you were in your old paradigm. This is why it's hard to explain. I really should have wrote, to be honest, I should have wrote down what I wanted to say today, but I'm kind of getting through it with it, and bear with me. I'm stumbling a little bit on some of the stuff I'm saying because it's super complicated, but I'm getting through it. I feel the universe wants me to get this information out to you, so I'm actually able to say it without having to pause the video and redo it or whatever 1,000 times. But those small mistakes are going to be massive, but those positive manifestations and those positive thoughts are also going to be massive in shifting. And if you're not believing too much in the astrology thing or like the cosmos or the planetary alignment, that's fine and all, but if you do believe in the energy, when we're talking about spirituality and how you feel, your emotions and reactions are going to be amplified as well. Your emotional state, your physical state, and your mental state are all going to be on, like, basically working ninefold, and your emotions are going to be ninefold higher than they are normally. Your mental state, your physical state, you're going to feel drained, or you're going to feel even more alive, depending on what the condition you're in at that moment. Everything's like amplified, 9 to 10 fold. And that's why it's going to be hard. Like, if your emotional charge is hard to deal with because you're crying over something like simple and that you shouldn't be, and like, oh, I'm feeling depressed now, I can't make it through the day. No, it's fine, because what you're doing is you're shifting. If it doesn't feel normal for you to have an emotional reaction that's charged that high, just know that it's trying to pull something out of you, so you're able to shift into the 5D, towards the 5D reality. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be going from 3D to 5D in like 1 year flat. It could take a couple years, it could take months, or even like 20 to 30 years. I'm not sure. But it's going to be exponentially so much higher than before. It will become easy. Your spiritual presence, your positivity, all that stuff will come easier than before, because there's not a energy that's going to try to extract you out of it once you make that shift. So just know, once you get over that hump, the pull back, where I talked about backpedaling, isn't going to be nearly as strong. And I'm super excited for that, because I was the king of backpedaling, and I felt, after these 20 years of learning this information and sharing it with you guys, I come to the realization now that it's like, and when I talk about, you don't have to do that backpedaling. I kind of did it for you, so you don't have to. And I've learned what's happening up until this point now, and we can make the change forward without backpedaling as much. Now, I had to go through that so I could spiritually teach you guys on YouTube. If I didn't do that backpedaling and experience that backpedaling that I did spiritually, I don't feel like I could teach you guys enough for you to help you out enough to like jump forward if you ran into roadblocks and problems that got in your way. I wouldn't know what to say to you and say, hey, do this to get over that hump, or do this to get over that. Now, if you write in the comments or message me an email at realitysimulator@gmail.com, I can answer those questions for you on how to not to backpedal. Your thoughts create your reality. And when you stop using your thoughts for manifestation and positivity, and increasing your vibration, love, using your heart chakra to make decisions with love and all that stuff, that's when you start backpedaling. And I can tell you exactly what it looks like, step by step. You say, hey, Brandon, this happened to me this happened to me to the next day, and then so on and so forth, and I just went into massive depression. And I'll tell you, so I know why, and this is how you get out of it. Because I've had to pull myself out of it several times. And that's how I know how to navigate through it. And it takes willpower. But from now on, I think it's going to be easier than before, as long as you choose to make the change. I feel like if you're not on a spiritual journey now, you're running out of time to be able to move into that parallel reality. You're unlimited time now. Before this year, we had a massive time. You could take a lifetime to do it. But now we're on this like short run where if you don't do it soon, you might get left behind, because the earth itself is changing so fast that it's like you either have to step up or you're going to be put in the back. Either flow with this or you're going to be left behind, basically. I know that sounds kind of like revelation-ish, and maybe the revelations were true based on what I'm saying, because it sounds like it kind of is. But it's like you're going to be given a choice. It's not like you're going to like wake up and say, "Oh shit, I should have done this," and now I'm screwed. That's not the case. You're going to energetically know when to make those changes. It's going to give you the opportunity, even though it's a shorter amount of time. It's just going to be like, hey, you got an opportunity. We can still go through that. We can still do this, but you got a limited amount of time. So let's get it done in that amount of time. It's not going to just leave you behind without giving you a warning or, alarm clock that you're hitting snooze on a bunch of times. Say, hey, get up, come on, let's, take my hand. We're going to move this direction in a positive way. It's not going to just like, hey, tap you on the shoulder. Hey, wake up. Okay, no, he's not going to he's not awake. Let's just leave. It's not going to work like that. You're going to get signs and you get warnings, and you're going to get like a intuition inside of you say, oh man, I have to change now. Otherwise I might not be able to. And then you'll appreciate yourself more when you start aiming towards that positive push. And you'll reward yourself immediately, because you're like making the choice and the decision now to move to that direction is a massive change and a shift in itself. And you're going to feel like, wow, I'm glad I did it. But that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you have any more questions, as always, write in the comments. I'm going to talk about this more in a couple videos. I don't know if it's the next one or a few down the line, but I'm going to be talking about a lot of this stuff in 2025 because the 5D shift is going to be happening throughout this year, and I can give you the updates of the changes that it's happening with me, and I do have a lot of changes happening like right now that are occurring. I'll tell you about those later, what's going on with me. But as always, I greatly appreciate you guys watching my videos, and have a nice day.